Hey everybody now, welcome to the Live on Four Legs YouTube channel, and today we're back with another tier list. The last 2 weeks we did 10 and verses. This time we're doing Vitalogy. Yes, that's right, the third album. It's one of my favorites of all time. It's got so much good stuff on it, good content, just everything. There's a concept to it. Look, I don't think I need to kind of tee it up. I think we can get right into it. And why is Vitalogy one of my favorite records of all time? Well, look at the songs. The songs are fantastic. I don't want to give anything away, but most of these are absolute classic Pearl Jam songs. You know, the way it's laid out is obviously kind of weird, and that was intentional because I think they wanted to drive away the casual fan, which in reality they didn't. They sort of kind of kept the fan there somehow with Bugs and Prys 2 and all that stuff. But yeah, this is one. I wouldn't say top heavy because everything's spread out, but those first 6 songs hit real hard. I think that's the best first 6 on any Pearl Jam record, and they're all fast. I mean, you got Nothing Man kind of in the middle that balances out. Tremor Christ is a different groove. Everything just clicks in and works perfectly. And then middle, Corduroy. Towards the end, Better Man, Immortality. Like, those are all top tier songs. It's going to be really difficult to pick what's going to be in the A and separate the B from the A, and it's going to be difficult to find a super tier, but that's what we're here to do. There are going to be a couple songs in play. I have it in my mind, but I'm not going to spoil it just yet. So let's get to the game. It's time for Vitalogy. And of course, when we start Vitalogy, the first one we got to start on is the opener, Last Exit. And of course, the song kind of starts out in the same way a little bit as Go, where it's kind of like, okay, a little bit of a tune-up, a little bit of jam, and then just bursts right into that drum beat. And boy, is that drum beat good. That, you know, I know that's a Dave A original right there, and I know that a lot of people, the album version is so good. I'll go back to a lot of these songs, and I will mention Jack Irons, because Jack Irons made these songs what they became. And Dave A, no doubt about it, Abruzes had an influence on every single one of these except for Satan's Bed and Stupid Mob. He was influential on it, and I just think that when you hear Jack in a live setting, it's so much different. You can you perk your head up in moments that you don't expect to perk your head up, and Last Exit's one of those songs. It's a perfect Jack song, and you know what? Matt's handled it pretty well too. Matt does a good job with it as well. It's one that just needs to drive. It's one that Ed can get in his like raspiest voice, and everything about the drive and motivation from Last Exit. And it's such a, you know, you dig deeper into the song and what it might be about. I like the topic line is introducing you to what this record is going to be, which is who you thought we were is not who you think we are. And media get off our back. We're tired of this. You know, we've been around for 3 or 4 years now, and it's time to weed out those type of people. And I think The Last Exit is a really good introduction to that. For me, there's going to be a lot that deserve to be A on this list, but Last Exit to me is automatically in the A. I know there's a lot to go, and usually what we do is what we did on 10 and verses. We try to stick to 5 in the A tier, and then we find one on only one to go into the S tier, and that's what we're doing. I know a lot of places have super tier and they put a couple in the super tier. No, we're going to do this one super tier, and then at the end of all this, it'll go into a big championship competition, which should be kind of fun. But there's going to be a lot of discussion here, and I think this is where we have our first issue, and it's with Spin the Black Circle. It's not an issue. Like, trust me, I love the song. I wouldn't consider it an issue at all. I think it's an issue deciding on whether it should be an A or an B. And the only reason why I wouldn't put it in an A is are there 5 songs that hit better? And almost no. Almost the answer is no. So and the reason why, look, Black Circle is just, it's ripcord fast. You get that beginning, and once that intro comes in, you're like captivated. Even when you're by yourself in your house, you want to start a circle bit. Like, that's how fast and intense this song gets. Of course, this is the one that earned him a Grammy. That part doesn't matter, but that goes to show what people outside of Pearl Jam thought of this song. And of course, you hear some of the lyrics and you think, okay, this could be about something, and then you realize at the end of the day, it's just about loving records. It's about loving vinyl and Ed's love for all this. So, yeah, it's a phenomenal song. You get versions where McCready is just ripping on it, and of course Jack, and then Matt. I think they both have terrific versions of it. So, for right now, what I want to do with it is right in that flex spot. So if there's a conversation to be had later, Spin the Black Circle will be in that conversation to try to get into the A. If it doesn't make it, it'll be part of the B. So we move on to Not For You. Not For You is a pretty big song. That's another, I think, definitive song of this album and what this album is trying to prove. And Not For You in 94, 95 absolutely encapsulated what the band was going through. They wanted to separate from the pack. They were telling everybody that was trying to join them, trying to get in on them, trying to find out a little bit about their personal life. He was saying, go fuck yourself. And deservedly so, because, the shit just doesn't fly. Of course, you have paparazzi stuff. Of course, you have the media that's going to write whatever they write. But he has a right to be pissed about it. And that's what Not For You and its intention was. My one issue with it is that while it stuck around, and it deserved to stick around, my one real issue is it's so much different in 2022. And that's because whenever the band plays it, it's a little bit more lighthearted. You kind of get into that kind of breakdown spot, and sometimes he'll start at a clapping section, which is weird. Sometimes, if he's in a certain place, I remember in Fenway, he started doing a Let's Go Red Sox chant. That was a little hokey for it. I think that this one should keep its aggression, and its best aggression comes when it's in its prime. And one thing what I do about these lists is I'm not trying to put so many in the A's and the B's. I'm trying to separate from the pack. I'm trying to kind of create some balance within this. So I think that's why I'm going to put Not For You in the B. I think that it's fine, but what it's become, and it's stuck around the set pretty often, and they play it a lot, and I think it still gets a good reaction from the crowd. But I also think that because it fits more in 1995 than in 2022, I think that's what's holding me back from putting it in a higher standard. So I have this at B. Now we get to Tremor Christ. This is where things get really tough. Tremor Christ might be one of my favorite songs on the record. It just moves really well, and it gets kind of ominous and kind of stark at points, and the janky rhythm. It's real interesting. And the lyrics, of course, I think are some of the best lyrics that he has on this record. Smallest ocean could get big, big waves, and there's a lot to dissect from it. It's got some undertones there. And it's in the last 5 years, it's sneakily become one of my favorites. However, I look at this from I give a little bit of what I think. I give a little bit of what maybe the people think. And I give a little bit of what it is now to try to give it some context. And Tremor Christ is that song that it's okay, we don't play this one a whole lot, so let's bust it out. They're not going back and doing all right, we need to do a bunch of Vitalogy songs, let's do this. Usually when that happens, you get Not For Yous and Nothing Man and Corduroy and Better Man and those kind of songs. Tremor Christ is just rare enough where there's some desire for it. There's a lot of desire for it, but within what's going to be in the A, I don't think that Tremor Christ quite reaches that, even though I love the song. Don't get me wrong, I love the song. I think Tremor Christ is a B+. It's right there, but it doesn't make the A quite as much. I can't put it above Spin a Black Circle, and Spin a Black Circle's on the edge, it has a chance. So, track number 5. Nothing Man. Nothing Man is one that I felt like after the record, I think it's one of their most beautifully produced songs. I think that, like, just the guitar chords ringing out in the beginning sounds so beautiful and perfect. And I can say that about a lot of songs on this record. We'll go to Better Man and Immortality in a little bit too. But yeah, Nothing Man just feels like it just got better with age as well. It's one of those songs where in 95 through 96, they really didn't play it very often. You have to go to like Bridge School 96 before you get the second version of this. You know, the first one was played in Ann Arbor in 94 and then not again until way after Vitalogy was released. This was in the No Code era here. So Nothing Man kind of developed after that, kind of started finding a spot, and then the fans started to really react to it. The fans would go on oh, she don't want him. Like, how perfect is that? Great, like, cathartic kind of moments. Nothing Man, it's one that kind of sneaks up sometimes as, like, is this one of my favorites or not? I think Nothing Man's an A. I really do. I think it's that good that it deserves to be in that list and on that tier. And again, there's going to be some arguments in a little bit, but we'll see where it goes. You know, Nothing Man, maybe if there's one I have a better argument for him, Nothing Man could get dropped. I don't see it happening, but stick with us. We'll see. We're on song number 6 here, which is Whipping. And as I mentioned before, like, the top 6 are just perfect. It's got perfect flow, it's got perfect balance, and coming off Nothing Man, you gotta get those chords at the beginning, and like, Whipping just gets you into a rush. It's bookended by what we're gonna get to next, and it sort of feels like, you know, Whipping could be on its own island, but I think it's really part of that side A, like killer side A kind of thing. It's had a little staying power now. It's considered one of the more rare, kind of uncommon songs, and I like it. I think it's pretty good, but I also think that it doesn't really advance as far as that. I think it is what it is, and for what it is good, but I'm not sure I'm in A tier with it. I've never loved the song in that way. I've always appreciated it. I've always enjoyed it whenever it comes on, and I think it's part of the B tier. I really do. And, you know, that's one I think a lot of people have, like, very strong opinions, but I think that it just sort of, I don't want to say it fails, it's good for what it is, and there are, again, other songs you got to look at here that absolutely deserve to be in the A. So, here we are on Prys 2. We don't have to take a long time discussing this one. Because it's like, what, 30 seconds, 40 seconds long? Who the hell knows? Alright, this is the first time I'm going to do this. I really don't need to get into much depth on this because it's literally Privacy is priceless to me. You play it over backwards. Pete Townsend, He Saved My Life. And then that's the first weird Vitalogy song. And really, it's a total nothing burger to me. If it was off the record, fine, but it's on the record, okay. It's like 30, 40 seconds long. You don't necessarily need it, but I don't think anybody ever thinks of it. So, it's a D. It's a D. It's kind of, to me, a little bit pointless, but whatever. It's there. I don't think I'm going to really give anything on any album an F, but I think you might see a couple more in this category. Hint, hint. Corduroy. What do you got to say about Corduroy? Now, this is going to be a discussion to have later, because for the last handful of years, especially during the pandemic, I always thought of Corduroy, and when I thought of Corduroy, I always said, man, I wish I could be there. I wish I could be seeing them right now, because the moment that Corduroy would hit, that's where all of the feeling inside me, all that rush, all that buildup comes out. And, you know, I get weirdly teary-eyed when I hear Corduroy, especially when it's on a delay, when I haven't, seen the band in a couple of years, or it's a new tour. I can remember MSG in 2016, it was like second song in, and that just lit a fire under my ass, and I just was like, holy shit, I'm here. It was a holy shit moment. And I've, in the past, considered Corduroy to be my favorite song because of that. And I know it's like, it's an easy song to call your favorite song because it just has all the emotion in it. And again, another one that's definitive of the Vitalogy record. That just, the idea of like, take my hand, not my picture, spill my tincture, like that kind of stuff, like he doesn't want to be bothered with. But it also, I think more than Not For You, I think it still stands as an anthem to the fans. And Not For You has an anthem quality to it, but the bite isn't quite there. I think Corduroy, a little bit of the opposite, where the bite is here now. And in 94, 95 through 98, it was getting good to me in 98. And it was finding its way. It developed and blossomed into that build-up where you have McCready going off, and obviously now there's a call and response to it where everybody's kind of doing whoa kind of stuff. We'll get back to this one. This is going to clearly be in the conversation for later, but of course there's no other choice. It's an A. Absolutely. What else could it be? It's Corduroy. It's literally one of their top 10 best songs. If you want to argue that, then I'm down to argue with you. I made a lot of good points, but I can make more. See this little creature here? Who's this little guy? That, my friends, is a bug. And they're on my windows, they're in my room, and, all tickle my nausea. And I think that bugs out of all kind of, I don't call it a throwaway track as much as they do the other ones, and it's even tough to call those throwaway tracks, besides for Prys 2. Like, I feel like some sort of artistic quality in it. Bugs is a little bit better than that. It's still a little corny, but I think the fans, after a while, like, attach themselves to it because they're like, wow, this is Pearl Jam doing weird stuff. They're playing accordion, they're singing about random shit, and it's kind of artsy, it's kind of avant-garde. And I've seen it live. Out of the 3 times I saw it live, I was able to see it in Wrigley, and my reaction was just the whole time, I can't believe they're doing this. I just can't believe they're doing this. And it's one that they saved for the moments that are just going to be incredibly special. So, but I can't put it in a higher tier than C, unfortunately, because not that it's not like a B or anything like that. It's because, again, we're weighting the balance of all these. And we only want a couple that are in the A. We got one in the S. We're balancing things. And I think it's better than being in this D tier that's going to come up. But C tier, I think it's right there. I think it's right there. And I think a lot of people like Bugs more than that, which is okay. But I think it just fits here in the C. You get people flipping tables now. And that's where the shit goes down. So, because, yes, I got a message earlier today that said if Bugs is not S tier, I'll be flipping tables. So, proof, or it didn't happen, first of all. But, yeah, I obviously can't put it S, but I don't even feel it belongs with Not For You, Tremor Christ, or Whipping. So, C tier. Satan's Bed, fun, and good content, and another, like, fuck kind of like celebrities and fuck my celebrity I guess status, and he didn't want it to be in kind of the tier with actors and actresses to kind of be a big wig in Hollywood sort of thing. He didn't want to associate with any of those people, even though he did, and he found people that he was able to connect with on a personal level. But yeah, the content, and look up what the song's about, because I think there's not enough time to really talk about it, but you got to find out who he's talking about and what the situation he's talking about that this kind of refers to. It's fun, it's lighthearted. You get the "I never sucked Satan's dick" part, and that's fun, and it's got some innuendo in there, and it's fine. Again, you look at the list. Does it fit up with there? It's only been played like maybe 38 times, and check me on the number on that, because I think that's accurate. That's the first time I actually got a number accurate. But I think it's exactly 38 times. I'm putting it in C because, again, it's not like, oh, I hate the song, this is a C. None of this is. This is just separating the best of the best and separating stuff from the pack and seeing that this might be the end of the C tier, that, you know, we're going to have some top level songs going on now. C tier is good. I don't have a problem with C tier stuff at all, and neither should you. And that shouldn't be taken as a slight on any of these songs. So now we get to a really tough one. Better Man, I think, to a lot of people has become sort of like, okay, we expect it to happen every night. However, like, and I go back to obviously the last show I saw in New Jersey last year at See Here Now, and they played Better Man, and it felt a little different. It felt, and maybe it was because I hadn't heard it in 4 years or 3 years, whatever it was. Maybe it's because I haven't heard it in a long time, and maybe it just hit better. But they did that. People had the power tag, and that was fantastic. They're playing around, and again, I think a lot of people will just be like, oh, we're going to save it for later again. Okay, this is kind of like the last version. But if you listen to a couple of these that happened in the later stages, Better Man could get really, really good and just intense and have a couple of different sort of identities to it. And I know it's another one that developed into that too. Go back and listen to 1995, 1996 versions. It's okay. They don't go off on it. It's just kind of a pop song that appears in the middle of the set. And, you know, if it wasn't a radio hit, then I don't think that people would think much of it. Well, maybe not. I think that Better Man is kind of... it got popular because it deserved to get popular. But for that, I am conflicted. Because I still want to see what I can do with Spin the Black Circle. So that's the only thing that's keeping this from a B to an A. We'll see where it goes. I think it's still a powerful song. I think it's still impactful for so many. And it's one of the quote-unquote hits that I just don't mind. I don't mind it anymore. All right, I Davanita. Catchy. I'll give it that. Does it have a point? Not much of one. It doesn't, it's ooh, chugga, chugga, ooh, chugga, chugga, ooh. And it goes into whatever theme that they're trying, and I never really broke that down of what they were trying to do with the weird stuff. And I don't really have much else. It lasts for, again, about a minute. It's sort of a transition to get from Better Man to Immortality. And, okay, they wanted to do it, and if they wanted to do it, then I'm all for their decision. I just made a decision that, okay, it's a little catchy, but it's a little pointless for this record. So, don't have much else to say on that. Got a lot to say on this one. This is a top song for me. And almost every time I hear it live, I find something new to love about it. From anywhere from that arpeggiated intro, where Eddie's kind of just doing this beautiful sort of harmonic thing, and then once you kind of transition into the beginning of the song, it kind of gives you a goosebump. It gives you kind of it's a spine-chilling moment, and you're like, oh God, what's happening next? And when they tiptoe into it and sort of creep into it and build to it getting a little faster, and that usually comes when you get to McCready's solo. There are two parts usually to McCready's solo. You get the bluesy part, and then he just starts to wail as the guitars in the background start to complement him. He starts going off on it, and it's one of my favorite songs to hear in the outdoors because it feels like it just, the atmosphere-wise, it just reverberates into the air, and I love that feeling. I think one of my favorite versions of this is actually Fenway in 2016. I just loved just looking into the night sky, lots of stars that night, and just thinking that you'd be able to feel it outside of the concourse at Fenway Park. And it just, again, more things to love about it. The ending jam sort of that gets extended. There's so many different ones. There are ones that they kick at a slow pace, and then at the end they sort of build up. There's ones that just get really dramatic and just intense, either Matt or Jack moments. And of course, the subject matter of the song, a lot of people equate it to and Ed has never come out and said that it's about Kurt, but I think it's sort of about the idea of what is happening within, life at the time and what he's thinking. It was clearly wrote very shortly after he passed, but I think that this was on his mind for it. This will be back in the conversation for later. Don't you forget that. Mop. I'm sorry. I know, it's artsy and it's their version, and I get, it's kind of fun in the aspect of, they did something sort of, they took this video clip from a PBS show about mental institutions and kind of intertwined it in there, and that's cool. That's just, a little bit again, artsy, and I get why they did it, but honestly, I can't sit there and listen to it. I just can't. It just spooks me, and it did its job. Trust me here, it did its job. It spooks me out a little bit. It's a little uncomfortable hearing all the different bites that are thrown in there as well, and it's got some Velvet Underground to it, which I appreciate, but it's a tough one. It's a real tough one to listen to, so I think it's in the D tier. Okay, now we have to go back to this middle ground here. Spin the Black Circle or Better Man? Argument for Spin the Black Circle is that it's just firepower right from the start. And I don't think they're going to do it live a lot more now, because we're kind of in the age where I think that the songs like Blood and this, I think that if he wants to scream on a song, I think that Lucan is your song right there, that he's going to, for a minute or so, put all of his energy towards Lucan. And he has fun with that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot tougher to see a song like Spin the Black Circle fit in sets. Because, again, you're 57 years old, putting a lot of vocal pressure on. That's one I don't think he can let up on. That's the small argument against it, but the argument for it is that it fucking lights a fire under you the minute you hear those chords. And remember that this was originally supposed to be a slower song, so think about this riff kind of going at think about that, and think about now, okay, we just kind of sped up the record a little bit. So every time I hear the song, I think about just a spinning record and going full force and just going round and round. So we'll keep that argument there. Better Man, I think is a great song, and I think definitely still gets emotion out of a lot of people. And the difficult part for me is is it really a B tier? And the answer is no. I don't think it's B tier, and I really kind of don't think Spin the Black Circle's a B tier either. But this is where we are right now. I don't feel like there should be more than 5 to discuss on, because then you just get all convoluted here, and then everything is great, everything is perfect, and that's not the case. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to probably leave Better Man in between A and B, A- level. And I'm a stickler for this stuff. I think it's going down to B. But again, not an indictment what the song is. I think if the song had a little less radio play, maybe it would go there. But I think that, like a lot of those songs, like Daughter ended up in B, Jeremy ended up in B. I think that for this argument here, I want to get, because I mentioned, top 6 of that record is absolutely perfect. Having 3 representing in either S or A is perfect. It's just non-negotiable. So, Spin a Black Circle makes the A. Let's look at our A's here. Last Exit, Spin a Black Circle, Nothing Man, Corduroy, Immortality. Now, I'm keeping Spin the Black Circle in the A since it took them a long time to get to the A. I'm going to move Last Exit in the middle here, Nothing Man here, Corduroy here and Immortality here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push down both Last Exit and Nothing Man. Because the conversation between Corduroy and Immortality is a fucking tough one. I've been thinking about this all day. I will not lie to you. I've been thinking about this all day and what I should do here. And the argument for Corduroy is that it impacts absolutely everybody. And it has done that for so long, and it's always been a triumphant song. I'm going to go back to something, though, that I mentioned before as the idea of it reminds you that you're at a Pearl Jam show. It's your first indication, maybe in some cases. What I'm going to say here is that I went to See Her Now, and they played it fourth song in. And I think it was because you get the 3 new tracks, Dance of the Clairvoyants, Quick Escape, and 7 O'Clock, all in a row. I was already there by that point. When Corduroy hit, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Corduroy, great. I didn't tear up. I didn't feel like as emotional. I was absolutely excited to sing it, absolutely excited to hear it. But it was a little bit of a slower pace, which was interesting. I was trying to digest that a little bit. But I think the moment that I recognized that, yeah, this is a Pearl Jam show was the second that I saw them take the stage. So that's a little bit tough to beat. And that's a very minor thing to, dissect here, but that's what we're working with. That's how good of a song it is. Immortality, and remember, we're only putting 1 into the S. Immortality just keeps getting better. And while Corduroy is a statement song, Immortality is a song that is a beautiful painting on a canvas. It's one you put that up, it's a work of art. And you got everybody has a role in it. From Stone kind of leading kind of the rhythm in the background, from Ed doing the arpeggiated part in the beginning, and then Mike wailing away at those basically 2 different solos. Jeff sounds really good when you kind of transition out of the last chorus into the ending, and Jeff kind of can get that rolling bass line in there, and then Matt takes it away, or Jack takes it away, and it's mind-blowing. And then afterwards, I've been calling songs like a need a cigarette kind of moment. Like when that song ends and it just, you get to stop, you're blown away. Not a lot of songs blow me away by that. Corduroy, I think, has like a more like positive aspect. Like this is feel good. This feels nice, and like it gets you warm and fuzzy and ready for the show. Immortality, it blows your mind. The argument against Immortality is scarce. I made a very, simplistic point against Corduroy. I did a ranking of the top 50 songs. If you want to check it out, liveon4legs.com. I did a ranking of the top 50 songs that I think are, my personal favorites. Corduroy was number 1 and Immortality was number 2. However, I think I was wrong. Immortality, S tier. I think it just deserves it. I think for everything that song has and all of the electricity that pours out of it, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And this is one that grew on me after a while too. That I had to see it live before I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And that actually happened in Buffalo in 2013. And so it took a little bit. But yeah, it now stands alone on top of the tier list. So let's go through everything from the bottom to the top one more time. This is a rarity. We have a D row here, and pretty much an assumption. Prys to I Davanita and Hey Mike, that's me. That are all going in the D's, and I think that's fair because it's part of sort of the weirder identity of the album that I just don't quite relate to, and I think a lot of fans are just kind of weirded out by. So, but Bugs is in the C. because I think Bugs is a good attempt at an actual song. Satan's Bed is in the C because I think that it doesn't hold any weight next to these four. Not For You, Tremor Christ, Whipping, Better Man all in the B. And again, Better Man is, you can argue that it's an A song. There's no doubt about it. Like, this is, weighing on two different sides here, what I wanted. Did I want a fast punk song or did I want like an emotional ride? And I think Nothing Man and Corduroy kind of gives you the emotional ride. Out of the punk stuff that's on Vitalogy, it's good to have that representation with Spin a Black Circle. That's kind of why I wanted it there. Last Exit, Spin a Black Circle, Nothing Man, Corduroy, Immortality. And there you have it, guys. Immortality at the end of this will be going into the championship edition, which this could kind of entice you to go watch the 10 in Versus version. Go out and watch them. They're on this channel. That's where they are. But I just want to say right now, thanks everybody for watching and getting into this. If you want to contribute to what we're doing over here, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/live-on4legs, and all of it kind of goes back into raising funds for building our website, and some of it goes back to us trying to create events when we're going on the road. When Pearl Jam decides to go on full tours, we want to be at as many things as possible and throwing events and doing stuff like cool stuff too, and not just random weird stuff. So that's what it all goes into. It's helping out an independent podcast that just nonstop talks about how great this band is. If you want to contribute, patreon.com/live-on4legs. We'd love you for doing it. And we thank everybody that is a patron because they're wonderful. If you haven't checked out our Concertpedia yet, it's on liveon4legs.com. There are a lot of good articles on liveon4legs.com that we kind of take the podcast notes and we dig a little bit deeper into the episode. We take some stories that we've heard from around the community and we kind of go off on them a little bit. There's a really good one that's probably out by this point that you're watching. Go out and seek it because it's one of the best things we've done. And yeah, just sink your teeth into it because all we're doing is just paying tribute to a remarkable band that makes us feel this way. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for everybody for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, just click that bell and like and comment. It all helps. We just got to build this stuff. You're the builders here, and you guys build it and I'll just lay out a foundation. That's it. So once again, thank you everybody for tuning in to this version of Vitalogy, and we'll see you next time for No Code. Bye!